As an entrepreneur, I'm always looking for ways to let go of the work that I don't enjoy doing and have more time for the things I love, whether that's in my business or in my life. On today's show, I'm joined by Amber Monaco, the owner of You Need an Amber LLC, dedicated to backend operations and project management. Her goal is to create efficiencies in businesses so owners can have more white space in their calendars. Amber graduated from the University of Maryland and attended the Johns Hopkins University. She lives in Gladstone, Missouri with her partner Andrew, his 2 kids, 1 cat, some chickens, and enough tomato plants to feed a small army. We had a fantastic time breaking down all the stories we tell ourselves about why we have to do all the things in our business and our lives. Ever feel like no one can do it like you, as good as you, as fast as you, and so you just continue to do it yourself, even if you're frustrated and don't enjoy it? Well, this episode is going to have you thinking differently. Here's my conversation with Amber. I'd like to welcome Amber Monaco to the podcast. I'm really excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. So excited to be here.
The one thing I wanted to make sure that we talk about today, and for those of you that are regular listeners, you know we talk about people pleasing, you know we talk about procrastination, you know we talk about being a perfectionist. And really, Amber, your area is not in, necessarily the mindset end of things. It's how we can help other people do things more efficiently, especially around their business, around the back end of things, around the technology. And this is an area where all 3 of my P's tend to struggle letting go of the control of doing it all themselves. So can you tell us a bit more about what you do and what that offers?
Absolutely. So, what I do is I help bring in systems and processes and automations and workflows so that we all run an easier business. We're all good at our job, right? We all started our business because we have a skill that we're good at. But sometimes that's not the most efficient. Sometimes your business has grown and you need to expand your team a little bit more. And I come in and set up some of that back end stuff so that things run more smoothly for you and your team. But it also feels easier when you sit down at your desk every single day. So, one of the things that I love to do is come in and look at those 3 Ps and try to figure out what is really pressing right now so that we can set up some systems and processes so that things run more smoothly and that nothing ever gets missed.
So I can feel like every perfectionist out there is like, nothing gets missed. Everything is done properly. It's all smooth. Like that's just calling my name, right? But at the same time, I can hear people going, that sounds really good, but I'm really nervous about turning that over to somebody else.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying to turn it over to someone else. And I'm willing to bet something that we say to ourselves is no one can do it like I can do it. No one can do it as well as me, as fast as me, in the way that I like. It's going to take too much time if I explain it to someone else. It's just faster for me to do it myself. And I would like to challenge you back and say, is that the thing you're really good at? Did you actually start your business to do those things? So, me, for example, could I get in Canva and make a social media graphic? Absolutely, I could. Of course, I could. I could do that right now, and it would probably take me less than 10 minutes. But that's not what I'm good at. So just because I could do it and it feels faster in the moment instead of typing out an email to someone and explaining what the graphic needs to be about and then answering questions about what the copy should be and then figuring out when it should be scheduled, is it quote easier that I do it myself? Maybe. But am I good at making graphics? Not really. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it. And when I give the instruction 1 or 2 times to someone else, or make a process of how graphics get made that I can pass off to anyone at any time, then I have way more free time in my business to do things like, I don't know, make a sales call to make me more money. I don't know, go to a networking event and expand my potential leads, or, leave in the middle of the day and go pick up your kids from school. There's so much that you can do when you have given those tasks to someone else. If you started your business to do that specific thing, if you're a graphic designer, right? And you started your business to make graphics, and that's the thing that you're good at, then maybe that's the thing that you need to be doing. But if you did not start your business to do all of those tangential things, then those are the things that you should feel good about giving to someone else.
I remember the first time that I realized, okay, I only have so much time, first of all. And number two, I've got all of these tasks that I'm getting done in that time, but I can't ever improve anything. I can't ever take this to the next level. I can't ever add anything because there's no more space and no more me. And somebody said to me, yeah, that's because you now need to farm that out. And that was a revelation because I think I just thought I need to do it because it's my business. And we don't think about the fact that it's still your business if you decide to hand it over to someone else.
No, it's called growing your business. Like, I don't know who the person is that started Target, but they never greet me at the door, right? Like, whoever that magical person is, I've never met them. They never say hello to me when I walk in. And that's okay, right? I'm not expecting to meet the owner of the business in every single thing that I do. I'm not expecting that in any business that I go to, right? I don't expect that at the restaurant that I go to. I don't expect that at Target. I don't expect that at the grocery store. So it's a bit unrealistic to think that your clients are expecting you to do every single thing. Maybe they're expecting you to be face to face on their client calls. Maybe that is what they're expecting. But they're not expecting you to go out and do work that is not in your zone of genius. They're expecting you to find someone who can do that work.
When you're talking about this, is this something that as people come to you and are looking for help in these areas, there are areas that are easy to release and there's areas that are harder to release, or is it kind of whatever?
I think people come to me when they've run out of time. They know they need to do things, but there's no time to do it all. So, what I help people figure out is what are the ways that you make money? What are the ways that you make money? Those are the things that you need to be focusing on. If you're the content creator, you need to be focusing on nurturing relationships with the people in your audience who are going to see your content. That might mean I need to send them an email and I need to post social graphics and I need to go to networking events. All those things might need to happen so that you can do your job really well. But that doesn't mean that you need to be the person doing that small part of the job. So I think people come to me when they've run out of time, but I think there's also a bit of a disconnect between like the control of no one can do it as well as I can, or it's not that big of a deal. Let me just handle it. I hear that a lot. It's not that big of a deal. It only takes me 10 minutes. It's not that big of a deal. It's just faster. And you're right. It's not that big of a deal. It's not, but it adds up over time. And then the things that are a big deal don't happen because you have all of these really tiny things on your list that feel important in the moment. So you do them because they're not that big of a deal. But all those other things get left behind.
Regular accountability increases your chance of success by over 90%. That's why I created the Imperfection in Progress VIP membership to help women move out of the 3 Ps and into a more relaxed, simpler, and joyful life. We have live monthly coaching calls that are also recorded and put into the membership area. One call with me and the other with a guest expert. We cover everything from physical health, movement, nutrition, sleep, to mental and emotional health, stress, anxiety, negative thoughts. We cover personal growth with topics like self-worth, confidence, happiness, hard conversations, boundaries, and self-talk. I love to help women put themselves on their own to-do list without guilt. This membership could be the perfect gift to you from you. Our founders membership is only $27 per month until the end of February, or $270 for a year. That's 2 months free. All founders will receive this pricing for as long as they remain in the membership. This is the lowest cost you'll ever find coaching for. Ready to become a founding member? Go to pursueprogress.com/imperfection in progress membership, or click the link in the show notes. Now back to our episode. I remember having a conversation with a coaching group when I was in a team capacity with a coaching group. And the one thing, we were all kind of just at the beginning of stages of our business, but yet we're at the stage where we couldn't do it all. And so we were having a discussion about what are we gonna do? Like, are we hiring somebody? Are we going to, get our kid to do it? Like, what are we gonna do to make this thing happen? And I think the number one thing that kept being said over and over was, I don't know how I would teach someone to do that. Like, this is something, it's not just something that anyone can do. I would have to show someone. And that caused almost a bit of panic within people about, I know I need to release it, but I'm really afraid because I don't think it's possible. So, can you break down for us a little bit? Like, what are the ways that we can hand things over that we think we can only do?
So, well, first, I'd like to say that it's not true, that it might just be a story that you're telling yourself. It's not only things that you can do. It's just only things that you know the specific ways how you want it done. It's not that it can't be done. It's just no one can read your mind, which is unfortunate. And I think we're working on that. But until we get to the point where someone else can read your mind, the thing that I would say to do is make a screen recording of exactly how you do things. In my world, I call that creating like an SOP library, but I don't want to talk about those like really scary terms. I want to talk about turning over the task at hand right now that someone else is ready and able and capable to do. So, what I would do, if you have a program, let's say like an email newsletter, and you format your email newsletter the exact same way, and you don't want to give up on those brand standards, which you should not do, then I think the best way to show someone how to do that so that they can see how your mind is working is to do a screen record, whether that's a recorded Zoom video, whether it's a Loom video. My MacBook has a function on it. I think it's called QuickTime, Quick Play, or something like that, that came native in my MacBook that you can do a full screen recording and go through the entire step. This is where I go to log in. This is where I go to find the passwords. Here's the template that it's set up in my email marketing platform. I send this out on Tuesdays at 2 p.m., right? Whatever it is, just do it one time. Because if you're already in the mindset of it's easier for me to just do it, well, then do it, but also record how you do it. I would also just really like to say that it's important to make everything that you make accessible for anyone that's on your team. Everyone learns in very different ways. So just because you're making a screen recording doesn't mean that you shouldn't have that transcribed in case the person on your team is a reader, right? And they learn better from reading rather than visuals, or we want to take into account if someone is hearing impaired and we have the words at the bottom. So just as you're doing it, the programs and the platforms that you use can be translated in ways that we can make everything that you do accessible for everyone on your team.
I love that you said this because I think often we have created, like you said, a story in our head and we believe it. And so we are basically saying it's impossible. And we don't even go further to know that there are very simple ways that we can overcome this, like screen recording. And I think that's, again, such a brilliant and simple tool to use. But so many people just have already decided not possible, haven't even checked it out.
Right. And I would also like to remind you, like, think back to whatever your first job was. Like, whether your first job was at McDonald's or wherever it was. Like, did you have to be taught how to say, "Hi, welcome to McDonald's"? Probably not, because you've been in society long enough. You understand that that's the societal expectation. But everything that they do is the same. That's why you can go to McDonald's anywhere and it's the exact same. It tastes the same everywhere you go. And there's a comfort in. So there's a process for everything. McDonald's, I've heard, I never worked there, but I heard from friends that even in the back, like the procedure of how you structure a quarter pounder, is the same every time, right? And I don't know what it is, but apparently they have pictures along the way so that you can see, oh, ketchup goes on bottom and then the dirt and then the cheese or whatever it is, right? But that's another way that you could show how you do things. So one thing that I did, I used to be a community manager at a co-working space. So I had a brick and mortar. My co-working space had like 40 offices. There were hundreds of people in the building at all times. And I was the only one who knew how to use the coffee maker. Not good, right? Not good. So I had one of my summer interns seriously take pictures on her iPhone of every step. Like, what's the drawer that you open to find the coffee beans? And, because we, of course, got locals, so we like had to go pick them up and then brought them home. And then like, how much do you grind? And I had her take a picture of her iPhone every single step. And it seems ridiculous. Like, hello, open the drawer and find the coffee beans. Like, that's logical. Anyone's going to do that. Except we kept them in the same place every time. And it's better for someone who hasn't been there before to know the exact drawer to go in so they feel comfortable and confident that they're doing the right thing and they're not on the other side of the kitchen. So we took pictures on her iPhone, printed them out, and then took them to some place that does lamination. And we literally put them in a step by step order of like, this is how you can make coffee too. I should not be the only one who knows how to make coffee. That's ridiculous when there's 100 people in the building, right? And people were like, thank you. Thank you for showing me how to make coffee because they want to be empowered to handle something. I could have very easily said, it's not that big of a deal to make coffee. And it's not that big of a deal. But is it something that I need to think of every hour on the hour to go into the kitchen and make sure there's enough coffee? No, because I could be spending that time giving someone a tour of the building to sell them an office. So it
Right.
seems insignificant in the moment. It's not that big of a deal. It's just coffee. I can make my own coffee, right? But is that where I need to be spending my time? It's not. And now that's done. I mean, unless they got a new coffee maker since I left there, last I knew that thing was still hanging on the side of the fridge and the procedure's the same and anyone can go and make coffee. So unless your email marketing platform changes their whole back end and their user experience, which they will, but until then, you just need to make that one video and then anyone else can make that. Until Canva changes the back end of how their platform works, which they will, but until then, it's the same, right? Like the Instagram dimension, those are the same. Until Instagram changes things, so let's make a video one time of how we want our Instagram graphics to be made, and then anyone can do it.
So you've mentioned a few things like, the Instagram graphics or doing Canva, using Canva, could be something in automation. But what are some areas if we're starting out handing over things that we might consider like these might be good things to look to farm out to somebody else?
Mm. Okay, so the first thing that I would do is start a little like list on your desk. And anytime you think in your real life of something that's applicable to you, I don't want to do this. I wish someone else could do this. I'm not good at this. Jot it down on a list because I always tell people you're not ready to hire, especially like a VA. You're not ready to hire someone until you have 25 tasks on their to do list. Because so many times I have seen people are like, oh man, I'm overwhelmed. I can't do it anymore. Frantic post on in a Facebook group, like I need a VA to start tomorrow. And then you find someone and they start tomorrow and you're like, I don't even know. I don't even know. I'm just too overwhelmed. I don't even know what I would get you. And it doesn't work. So for your specific situation, I would say keep a little scrap piece of paper next to your computer and jot down things that you can be doing. But to give you some examples now to help you get started, I would start giving out the things that don't specifically make you money, but help you make money. So you're probably the only one who can go to a networking event and meet people and tell them about your business because it's probably you, right? You're selling yourself as well as your skills. That's not the job for a VA. So if you're the one going to networking events to meet people, what are the tangential tasks around that you could have someone do? You could have someone research all of the events in your zip code or in a 20-mile radius for the next quarter. You could have someone, you could give them your credit card and say, sign me up for every event. I'm going to go to something every day. Sign me up. Here's the credit card. Don't spend more than $100 on an event. Just handle it. And I will just show up and I will go where my calendar tells me to go. You could have someone schedule other appointments on your calendar, whether it's the dentist for you and your family or it's networking events, that doesn't matter. But that's not what you need to be doing to make you money. So I would look at all of the these are the ways that I need to go and make money, but here is all of the triple effective things that I need to do to get there. That's where you can start outsourcing. So if you make money from a course that you promote, You've already created the course. It's already in your learning management platform. It's ready to go. You just need to promote it. Then you could give those tasks to somebody else. You could have them go through the course, figure out what it's all about, have them do screenshots from within the course. You could have them do a whole social media campaign or a whole newsletter campaign. You could have them find bundles to be a part of. You could have them find podcasts or YouTube series to be a part of. Like they can do all of those things to help get you in front of people when the actual sale is selling something on your learning platform. That's what you do. You're the content creator, you're the one teaching, but all of those other things to find new people for your audience, those are things that you can outsource.
These are great tips. I love when, I have my team go and find me all the podcasts for the next 2 months to be on. Like, I don't want to waste my time digging around on the internet trying to find people
No,
that fit and all that. No, it's wonderful.
yeah, absolutely. And then it makes your job like way more fun because then you just get to meet people and be yourself and just show up and you're like, okay, great. Yeah, we'll do those all day long. Right. But
Exactly.
yeah, it makes it more fun for you when all of that back end stuff is already handled.
One of the things that you're saying, I think to me that stands out is when you're doing the things that are in your zone of genius, when you're doing the things that you're that front man and you're not doing the things that either you don't like, don't have time for, shouldn't be doing, all that stuff. It also would keep your business feeling a lot more alive, fresh, enjoyable, less burnout. Like all of those things that people start to complain about can really be taken care of by doing this.
Absolutely. I also want to remind people that I think there's some sort of stigma in our head about things that you're allowed to outsource and things that you're, and I don't know where this comes from, but it's like, should I get a bookkeeper? Yes. Like, oh, absolutely. No one questioned that. No one questioned should you get a bookkeeper or an accountant, but should you get an email marketing person? And then they're like, oh, I don't know. But you're not good at email marketing? You're not the best copywriter in the world and you don't like that? No, but yeah, I'm definitely not gonna get that person. But you're gonna get a CPA? You know what I mean? Like, why are there these things that are just so acceptable to have on your team, but then other things, there's all this resistance around. And I don't know where that comes from, but I would ask that you look into that a little bit. So another thing that I see all the time is like finding a nanny for like the 3 hours after school before your workday ends. You just need someone to pick the kids up or be there at the bus stop, get them a snack, whatever. And that is like an acceptable expense or it's an acceptable person to bring on your team. But then when it's like, you could have hours of your weekend back if you hired a cleaning service. And you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I could so I would just ask you to look at the resistance. What are you resisting hiring around or bringing on someone who's actually really good at those things? And why are you having resistance around this when there's other things that you don't question at all? And you're like, take my money, take my whole savings account. I don't care. Just save me from this. Right. So that's something to do some a little bit of internal thinking about too.
That's super interesting because we are really quick to admit, like, I know nothing about accounting. So, of course, I'm going to hire out. But yet, I
Yeah.
feel I need to be an expert in everything as if that's reasonable and rational.
Yeah.
It's not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Like, when was the last time any of us washed our car in our driveway? We're totally fine spending $10 to go get our car washed. Why is that okay? You've got to wash it, right? So it's like there are some things that you're like, I would never even think about washing my car. Never. I would never ever think to do that. I would always go get a car wash. But or I can hire someone that like can make my business like easier, faster, and more efficient. Nah, no, that's crazy. Like, so just look at like where you're feeling resistance around these things and in a non-judgmental way, just ask yourself some questions. Like, why am I feeling resistance around that? Do I feel like I should have that skill? Do I feel like, you know, that this should rely on me? And why do you feel like that way? Just ask yourself in a non-judgmental way, why do you feel like that when there are so many other things that you know? you're willing to spend your money and time on to outsource and just see what comes up for you.
Oh, Amber, we could go down a whole other road on this.
Yeah.
And if, again, you're listening to this, most likely you fit into one or all of the 3P categories. So this is some questions that are important for you to be asking, especially if you're wanting to grow a business. You cannot be the be all and end all and grow it to any degree. So these are super awesome tips, but also really, really some deep questions to dig into why you're resisting some of it.
Yes.
Amber, I have a question for you because I ask every guest this. Which one of the 3 Ps, people pleasing, procrastination, perfectionism, do you relate to the most either now or in your lifetime?
So as the second child, I'm not a people pleaser. I feel like that was my sister's job as the firstborn. Second child, not a people pleaser. Perfectionist, I'm definitely not a perfectionist. I am a like done is better than perfect kind of girl, right? Like I also don't like believe that it's ever perfect or that it's ever, it's like your website. Your website's never done. It always needs to be updated. There's always something else to add to your services. It's never done. So the idea of like perfection in my mind can't exist when things don't have an end. So I don't think I'm a perfectionist. I think the most that I have struggled with is procrastination. And I think for me, I struggle with procrastination when I don't want to do it. I don't like it. I'm not good at it. I don't want to do it. I struggle with procrastination if I don't have all of the information, but I feel too stupid to clarify because I should have all of the information and I don't know what I missed, or I feel like I don't know what I missed. So I feel stupid to ask, but then I don't start it. So I'm procrastinating in that way. But I really have dug in deep to my task management platform. I personally use the task management platform called Asana. I use it for my business. I've set it up for all my clients. So that has helped me to see what actually needs to be done and it gets out of my head and in somewhere so I don't have to think about it. It also helps me see the difference when something is due, 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 and when I need to do something DO so that I don't miss a deadline. So sometimes I differentiate my tasks between what do I need to do DO so that I am ready for the DUE do, and having those like separate lists helps me procrastinate less. I don't work well when I feel ill prepared. So like I don't feel like I'm a procrastinator and that I like pull an all-nighter to get something done. They really need my sleep. But I feel like I procrastinate when I don't know what to do, but I feel stupid because I feel like I should know. And then I am like paralyzed by that.
That's a really good description of procrastination because there's different forms, obviously, but that's very common. And I think, too, I was just wondering, I'll ask you this. When we find that we are procrastinating, because you were saying, like, if you don't like doing something or you don't feel like you know enough to do it, is that also a good time to maybe be looking at those tasks as ones that we're giving away?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you think to yourself, I don't want to do this. I wish this were on my to do list. That's a very clear sign. And it's not, I'm not talking about taxes, right? It's not like we all have to do that. Wants to do it, but you have to do it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the repeatable things that are going to come up on your to do list over and over. And if you've thought to yourself more than once, "Ugh, it's time to do that again. I don't want to do that again." Then that's the time to think about outsourcing that to someone else.
That's perfect. Amber, tell us, where can we find you? What's the best place to connect?
The best place for us to connect is on my website, which is youneedanamber.
I love that. What a great website name.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this conversation. I feel like this is an area where it's really a simple fix, but so many people just aren't, and they're resisting. That word was such a good word, but they're just resisting making that change and giving it over. So I really appreciate that you're here today.
Thank you so much. I have loved chatting with you.